lingering thoughts with those guys?
Yeah.
I made a caramel mocha latte. So turn my phone on silent because it will go off.
All right.
Let's do it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So this is Nate House, and you're watching Craft House Media, and I'm here with Albizness.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Nate House.
So we are outside of the cafe here at Northwest Cafe in the Central West End.
Yes, sir.
Why were you interested in music?
It was around me all the time. So I was exposed to it early on by my dad. We had like one of those vinyl music players,
Yeah.
and he would play music, whether it be early in the morning, very low, or like even 10 a.m., 11 a.m., cleaning the house on Saturdays at a very high volume.
Uh-huh.
And there was a dance studio that the house that we lived in, it was attached to the house. He inherited a two-family flat home.
Uh-huh.
And in the bottom floor, that's where they did piano lessons.
Oh, wow.
And that was actually my great-grandma, and she ends up being my step-great-grandma. So we kind of, had a mixture going on like that. So.
Okay, so music has just always been a part of your life.
Always.
Wow.
Yeah, they tried to teach me, let me go and be a part of the classes to learn the piano. My sister and I both, and we stayed with that for like a year before we both were like, we don't want to do this anymore.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I took piano lessons, but my left hand never wanted to play. Just want to play music with one hand, that's all. Music has always been a part of your life. You're working as a DJ now.
Yep.
In addition to some of your pursuits, you said you're doing stuff with coffee shops, you're
Very
learning
true.
about business.
Yep. Yeah.
How do these things kind of play together?
To me, it makes sense, and it may be something that you're like, huh. So we'll see, right? I DJ. I have my own PA system. People have wedding receptions. People have birthday parties, baby showers, and you need a place where you can do that. I've curated a booking scenario with Jason Wilson, the owner of Northwest Coffee Roasting here in the Central West End, where I can book the space, or if the space is booked, like somebody asks him to use the space. Not only do you have a person to contact or a host, you also have somebody who has a PA system or who could be the house DJ.
Right.
To me, it just makes sense.
So you can just bring all of it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here I am.
St. Louis has had some really interesting times in the last 5 years.
You have these open mics, you have these garage bands, you have these studios and these different incubators. All these things are popping up around the city.
Uh-huh.
And as a local artist, because I was a recording artist at first, not having any platforms to A, play the music, or B, to perform. We had like one open mic in the city. It was in U City. I was predominantly doing rapping and doing like light singing. My group and I, KFP, and we would go to this specific open mic where there was a more available to that kind of art style. And then you have the Pageant, Firebird. I don't know how long the Firebird's been around, but that had become more prevalent to me as out of college, and you see all these bands having these shows. So you go from just having these small amounts of things to, what happened with Mike Brown. There was a need to have music and to have positivity in the community, in the Ferguson community. And so I, myself, and someone else who has an open mic called Word Up Energy, originally we just went out there, we took a PA system, I was playing music, microphone, and we were just trying to speak positivity and ask people if they wanted to come and speak on the mic and things of that nature. And that was kind of how I got into open mic and how she kind of got into open mic.
Right on.
And we're two separate entities where I have verbs after work. And so now there's two people who do open mic forums, and now there's 3 open mic forums around the city.
Okay.
You have like lyrical therapy. You have different things now. Like you just see the uprise of how everything from like struggle or from like reflection of what's going on in the community, and how it like kind of transformed and birthed other platforms. Yeah, and and then local artists, bands, and singers included. There are opportunities now where we can perform at the Pageant. We can perform at the Pageant has a new building over there too, the Del Mar Hall, and it's real cool. That wasn't that way 5 years ago.
Just you were saying to me how music is a forum for people to come together, for people to express some of these difficult things that have been happening, that it was really needed for healing. That is a space that's so needed in our community.
Very true.
And it just sounded like this was something that you were concerned about.
How does all of this come together? Because, like, from a business aspect, I can offer DJing, and then from a community aspect, when there's an idea as small as like, hey, I want to be able to speak out.
Yeah.
Well, I can bring music, I can bring speakers, we can amplify what you want to do. The African American community right now, there are more festivals breaking out, and so I have a foot in and experience in festivals. You have something that big of an idea, you need to have people who are willing to help bring that vision to life. And as a DJ, me specifically, that's how I see like opportunity, as a businessman, but I also see community man, how that plays a role in circulating business. Somebody may be running for office.
Sure.
You want to go in an area where people are volunteering, or go in an area where maybe the focus isn't on you. Well, we could kind of disrupt what's going on by amplifying the sound, putting the music out there or putting the speakers out there. So that's kind of.
I think music is such a great tool to add that component to what's going on in a community.
Very true.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of like the times, because I think you and I talked about that last time as well, where the syndicated music is, music that is popular for like club culture or for like being young. We're gonna live fast, we're gonna die young, we're gonna drink and have libation, we're gonna have the most fun we can have tonight. And where I believe in local St. Louis, every color, creed, background, walk of life, the local scene here, I don't know what it is about St. Louis, because we're a small city, but we're a big city. We have what it takes to distribute like real life struggle and real life prevail. And it's a reflection of what is going on right now in the times. And we do touch on what's going on in the times on syndicated radio station and radio music as well. And we put all that in our tunes right now. And if it wasn't for Spotify and iTunes starting to open up to you building your profile and becoming pretty much certified, you have to go through a process. But if it wasn't for like the local scene, pushing the mode, if it wasn't for these platforms needing to be in existence, in the new decade that we're in, opening up the platform, we would not know, what's going on for real in the city, or what's going on where people are feeling.
So what I understand is like music is kind of this industry that promotes certain ideals or certain lifestyles that may not reflect what's really happening in our city or in our community.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel. Yes, exactly.
Well, that's why I wanted to talk to you about this, because I mean, you're part of that movement. I'm just hearing what you're saying. I'm not.
Understood.
I don't make any music per se.
Understood.
That's exciting, though. Okay, so what is the message that you see St. Louis giving?
African Americans have a space, have a voice. Women are strong, competitive, and entrepreneurs. The LGBTQIA has more to be respected than just, we're different. They have a whole community and a whole e-commerce, and to pretend that that they don't support and help circulate the economy here in the city is ignorant. We have the music and entertainment form, from drag, from local female rap artists, women lead bands with guitars and singing, to the open mic scenes, or in the late 90s would be more like poetry readings and you're snapping, and it's like dim lighted candles. Not that that's not still around, but you see in the African American community, spoken word has kind of come to the forefront.
Okay.
And once again, with women, you have a lot of these open mic platforms being hosted or organized by women. I was at an event, and I'll say this real quick because this hopefully is an example to clarify that part. I was at an event on this past Saturday. It's called Boss, Busy Owning Sexy Success is an acronym that someone came up with,
Okay.
and they had an empowerment brunch, and it's for women. I was informed and I learned that St. Louis has the number one listing in 2019 for women entrepreneurs in the nation.
Wow.
And dude, that's what I said. I mean, I feel like that
Uh
when
huh.
seeing all the women entrepreneurs, but it's legit. It's like
That's what's happening
that's
here.
what's happening, man, in the music and in the entertainment scene.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's really exciting.
yeah. If you think about like Central West End,
Hmm.
and we walk down the strip and everything, just consider like who may be managing or who may look like they or stepping back and they're watching everything.
Hmm.
A lot of the women are doing that. I think we have some
Hmm.
ownership that's like right around us here in St. Louis. If you just think like, hey, Central West End, like this woman looks like she works here, she's doing something, but you only see her once or twice. She's out on the floor looking at everything because she probably owns it or manages it. For real,
It's her place.
it's her place.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
That is exciting.
yeah,
So there's a lot of forward movement here in St. Louis,
yes, sir,
and the music scene is reflecting this as well.
yes, sir. In 2015, Officer Darren Wilson shot Michael Brown, and he died, and so it was a lot of questioning going on as to what happened.
Oh.
And for the Ferguson community, because that's where it happened, that's the community that was impacted, directly impacted by what occurred, because the shooting happened in the middle of the street in broad daylight. And I feel like there is, aside of that, there is just in general the times that we're in, the 90s, the early thousands, and now the tens. We have kind of like just a code, like where you know you don't snitch or something like that. And I think that that's not being taken in consideration fully. Where snitching is if you are snitching on someone that you are like doing something that you shouldn't be doing
Hmm.
with, and you don't tell on yourself and you tell on someone else. That's what snitching is. But there has been a code going around where like, hey, don't snitch, and so people misuse that. And I think no one for years and for decades, maybe since the 80s, has really said, hey, I saw somebody shoot this person or something happen over here. Like, you weren't a part of it, you're witnessing it. That's maybe tattletelling, but that's a witness. So this incident, I think, broke all those barriers. The older people that saw what happened, the young people in the community that what happened. Michael Brown's friend, who was not long separated from him before the incident occurred, like people were speaking up, and it was an uproar and protest, and it went from confusion and pain and anger to peaceful protests. Then I think there were people who came to visit St. Louis and who didn't have peaceful protests in mind. People were looting and breaking and entering and doing different things. So I think it was August 15, 2015. No, August 9th, 2015. That day spawned a whole means of getting voices heard, whether it was people in the community, where there were people from out the community, out of the city coming in, and it just brought a lot of attention to St. Louis. And I think because of social media, because of YouTube, had it not been the time that we were in where it had just become just as powerful as the major corporations and their influence on TV or emails, we would not know what was going on, or we would not have heard about what was going on. And I think this is probably more long-winded than originally anticipated, but there was a murder scene basically, and it was questionable because it was between an officer and someone accused of a crime, and it went on for 2 years where the case had going on. There was where you saw people in the community start to educate themselves or start to reveal themselves that had education, and an attorney out there had to be removed from office. Wesley Bell stepped up into office, which is a man from the community who has education, and just a lot changed
Yeah.
like that day, with the mental state here in the city and the reflection of what people are feeling and what they're going through. With that attention being here, the artist here, it's a responsibility as a artist, whether you paint, whether you know, do miming, doesn't matter. It's a responsibility as somebody who can be creative and who can create to, you know, at least attempt to pay homage or to contribute, pay tribute, or to even just include, you know, what's going on in your art form. Even if it's just one piece, even if it's just one move in your miming, even if it's just one song, one poem, one band song, you know,
To recognize what happened here.
to recognize, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just how music is.
So it's been 5 years.
Yep.
Have you seen things change?
Yes. I sure have.
I guess you just told me things changed, but sorry, I was
No,
paying
you're fine.
attention. But like, tell me a little bit about that change. Like, what's happened, or what do you see that's different now? And are things better, or are things worse, or are things just different, or
Things are just different. Yeah, like you said, we kind of touched on it. Like entrepreneurship, you know, the voices being heard. You have council people, and probably should say political figures and public figures. You know, in the African American community, I say entrepreneurs, definitely speaking on women, but just, you know, everyone. This is just a more forward time.
so all these different backgrounds and all these different people are coming now, serving in.
Serving.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
that's great.
Exactly.
That's great. So what would be a call to action? What would you have people do to support these positive changes?
If you are with a left hand that doesn't want to play the piano right, you
Yeah,
know.
it don't work. That's why I played trumpet for a little while.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know, in a way, play your role. You are, you know, PhD, working on that, and you are a professor and you're teaching. Well, you're trying to figure out how to help, you know, figure out where, you know, some of these psychological conditions start and manifest, which is, I think, is great. And you'll have a cap or a limit to what you can do because of the, you know, regulations on teaching.
Sure.
And yet here you are. You're interviewing and you want to know what's the scoop. You want to know what
Yeah.
people are thinking. You want to know what can help.
Yeah.
So that may be how you have become a creative, and that's the role you will play because of the limitation you have in teaching. And you may have others who, like, everybody in the world deserves to be appreciated for what they can create, but everyone isn't a artist or everyone isn't creative. So if you know about these different platforms, you know about these different avenues, circulate. Whether you physically show support, whether you volunteer, whether it's your e-commerce, you may have to patronize someone's entrepreneurial endeavor. You may have to, I say volunteer, but, you know, specifically share posts, read and indulge, you know, show some activity, you know, which is a digital way of support.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe join some of these organizations in your spare time. That's that's the call to action. That's what I would say.
All right. So everybody can do something.
Yeah.
All right. So what is the way that people can find you?
I try to streamline everything, so I'm at Albizness. So that's ALBIZNESS. It's on Instagram. My Facebook fan page is that. My email is at albusinessjacobs, JACOBS @gmail.com.
Perfect. All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you again.
You too, Nate.
And if you're looking for an event here in the Central West End, a location, this would be a good one.
Yes, 4251 Laclede, right in the Central West End. We're in the neighborhood of Laclede and Boyle, so you won't notice us right away, but when you find us, you will not regret it. We roast our own coffee. We have a courtyard where we have plants and rocks, and we see families come out, bring the dogs, and we serve not only the best coffee in St. Louis, but we have light food as well.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Well, you know where to find us, and thank you so much.
Nate House, like Peter Griffin.
Peter Griffin.